Hi, gentlemen. Thank you for your testimony. I want to make sure I read it right, and I don't think I did, because three of you sounded extremely combative, and I can understand why you felt attacked, but I'm wondering if you disagree with William Bratton, Chief Bratton, and Chief Charlie Beck, the current chief of LAPD, when both of them testified that the future was not in handcuffs and that police would have to change their mindset and their outlook if they were going to bond with these communities of color. Do you disagree with that?
I'll start with that, and the answer is no. And that's why, again, I go back to the IACP for over 20 years has been trying to get a National Commission on Criminal Justice to look at the entire system. We have been wanting this for a long time. We could not get anybody to sponsor it for years. We couldn't find anybody in Congress that would take it forward. So the answer is we've seen this train coming for a while, and we've been trying to be up front, and we have not been able to get people to actually take action. So the answer is I absolutely agree that the entire system needs to be looked at. Unfortunately, law enforcement keeps taking the brunt of it. And, you know, again, sentencing and all those type of things, we don't control those. And the other thing I found interesting before with the schools and the school resource officers and making arrests, you know, our hands in a lot of states have been tied because of the fear of juvenile crime and guns in schools. We don't have a choice. You know, when I started in this business in 1977, you had some discretion on cases. Anymore, that discretion is gone, because if you don't make an arrest and that person offends and hurts somebody, you're done. Your career's done. Your agency is done. You are. So it takes a system-wide adjustment to make this thing better.
But isn't it true, sir, that first contact with law enforcement is how most of our kids get funneled into this criminal justice system? So there's a lot of discretion that you hold. I mean, I guess I'm asking if you can agree with that or not, because that first contact with the criminal justice system, it comes from the conscious decision of an officer to place that child into that system.
Right. And I would answer that, it depends. Look at the domestic violence laws across this country now. The discretion for an officer is gone. I had a friend of mine whose 17-year-old son got arrested because him and his 18-year-old brother got into a fight. Well, guess what? Under the domestic violence laws now, if you don't make an arrest and something bad happens, so officers are erring on the side of protecting themselves and protecting the agency. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you there are always unintended consequences. And unfortunately, with anything to do with schools anymore, if you don't make an arrest and something bad happens, it's over. And again, I don't think the officers have the discretion that they once had. That's my personal opinion. But I agree that initial contact is crucial. But it also depends on how that initial contact happens. If it's a voluntary encounter, or if you're called to a situation and you fall into one of those mandatory reporting areas, you don't have much discretion.
Beck and Bratton have both said that they had an obligation to change the mindset of the traditional police officer. How would you interpret that, and do you disagree or agree that the mindset of the officers is an area that needs to be focused on along with all these others that you've listed?
Well, while I'm up, I'll hit on that one too, and then I'll turn the microphone over. I believe in the nobility of policing, and that is the constitutional values that go with it, and the fairness and justice that are part of it. Do I think that we need to do a better job with that training? Yes, ma'am. I will not argue that with you one bit. We have to. There are great programs out there, and we do have to change the mindset. Along that same time, though, we got to have the public's health. accepting violence and that just becomes a norm is just unacceptable to me too. So there are shared responsibilities, and I think law enforcement will step up and do our part, and the public needs to do their part too and have shared responsibility.
Thank you.
I think